It's time to get to know your supervisor on South Bay Sunday. District 1 Supervisor Mike Wasserman, our first time in the studio. Nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us on South Bay Sunday.
Thank you, Sam. It's my pleasure.
I'm glad we're talking. You know, when I talk to Chuck Reed, the interesting thing to me is how he is focused on business and budgets and money like a laser. And that's what I've noticed about your style. There's so many, public servants, politicians, whatever you want to call them in the South Bay, who are focused on headlines and other things. And I hear you talk and I hear business. And I guess that's an important thing at this time in our history in the South Bay.
Sam, I think it's an important at any time. My background is 30 years as a small businessman. And one of the greatest compliments I've received since I've been in office is a person said, I have a heart for people and a head for numbers. And being a county supervisor, those two things are very, very necessary.
You need that balance, don't you? And we don't necessarily have that in business these days. So it's good to know a businessman is maybe doing some things for us over there.
Thank you.
We want to get to the Economic Summit that's coming up the 7th, the 10th, and the 13th. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about your district and what you do for the county of Santa Clara.
Sure, Sam. I'm the District 1 supervisor. There's 5 supervisors. Santa Clara County has approximately 1.9 million people and is divided based on population. My District 1 includes Montecito, Los Gatos, Morgan Hill, San Martin, and Gilroy, as well as 25% of San Jose. San Jose districts 10, 2, 8, and 9. All of 10 and then portions of 2, 8, and 9. So we each have about 365,000 people. What the public probably isn't aware of, Santa Clara County, with its 1.9 million constituents, has more residents, more constituents, if you will, than 14 state governors. Santa Clara County is the largest county north of Los Angeles with a $4 billion budget and 15,000 employees.
You say constituents, of course we mean people, and when it comes to people, you must have a lot of people who are, trying to get their needs met. That's a lot of people tugging on you.
Absolutely. I have a wonderful staff. I get about 110 to 120 emails a day. I work some weeks 7 days a week, some 6. Yesterday was a 16-hour day, but it's the job that I signed up for, and I'm very excited to be here and helping out.
What's the best news that you've heard lately in our great big county, and what's the worst news?
The best news, I think, would be last year when all the county employees got together and we all agreed to reduce our compensation, the Board of Supervisors included, by 7% to meet our goal of a balanced budget, and that reduced the county budget by $75 million a year. And as a result of the sacrifices that were made by employees last year that carry through to this year, the county this year, for the first time this century, and I like saying that, Sam, because it's been 12 years, we have a status quo budget, which means there's no reduction in services or employees this year. And I think that would be the best news, that Santa Clara County in the last 18 months has operated more like a business, if you will. Money was short, we had to cut expenses, and that's what we did. That, I think, would be good news. As far as the bad news, the county is pretty low on the food chain, if you will. There's the federal government, there's the state government, and the county acts pretty much at the whim of the state. The state has various laws. They want us to impose them. The state has various mandates. For instance, the recent realignment of prisoners coming here. When the federal government makes its cuts, that affects the revenue to the county, and that's not in our control, and we have no idea what's going to happen around the end of this year. The state right now is going through its budget issues. They underestimated their budget dramatically. They're looking at a sales tax increase. Whatever they're going to do, they're going to have to make cuts. And when they make cuts, they cut the revenue that comes to us that we use to provide the services. So the worst part, Sam, is not being in control of our own destiny entirely. I don't like not being in control.
You're forced to do things, and you're not getting the money to do them.
Unfunded mandates. I hate the term. Absolutely.
There it is.
Yep.
The old Chinese saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So begin with a single step for us. Where would you start with all the requirements that are made and the fact that budgets are being cut? Where do you start? How do you work on that?
Well, I started there 18 months ago when I got into office and suggested that the county run as Santa Clara County Incorporated. And I'm happy to say my fellow supervisors and employees all agreed with that, and they did a great job, as I explained. That was the first step, getting everybody to be on the same page, realize that we're in the same boat together, because we all want to continue to provide the services that people expect of the county. Public safety and public health, that's the role of the county. The federal government has a role, the state government has a role, your city has a role, and it's the county providing the services that the people count on from us.
So that's a surprising thing in the sense that the county, the workers you're referring to, have done what the business sector is doing right now, and that's asking each employee to do more. There are cutbacks in business. Profits are higher than ever in business, and employees are just stepping up and doing more. So what you're telling me is each employee of the county of Santa Clara stepped up.
That's very true. We are becoming more efficient. I created what was called the CAP, Comprehensive Attrition Plan. And what we did there is that each time an employee retired, we looked and we said, okay, do we need to replace that position? Or can the others in that department take on that responsibility? If the decision was made that person needed to be replaced, then we hired a new person. If it was found that the others there could take on that job, then we did not hire a new person. 600 people a year retire, quit, or move away from the county. And we need to replace them to provide the services we do, but we've been replacing a little less. And as a result, the number of county employees has come down over the last few years.
I'm amused at what a novel idea that is. We talk about every time you add a tax, it's never going away. But now you're going in the other direction, and the hope is it'll never go away. The hope is you can learn to get by with less.
That's true, Sam. We also did something else. When you come to work at the county, there's a set range, if you will. If you're coming in at a certain position, you'll look and see in a range, and you'll be at the low end of the range, let's say if you're fresh out of college with no experience, or if you're transferring from a similar job where you've had many years, you'll be at the higher end of the range. My suggestion was that we lower those ranges 10%. So when we put that Help Wanted sign out, it's 10% lower. And some people argued, well, we won't get qualified people. And I said, hey, if we can't get qualified people at that dollar amount, then we'll raise the dollar amount. But for the last year, Sam, we have not had a problem filling jobs at a 10% lower number, which is obviously a 10% savings to the county on 500 to 600 jobs a year. Good time to hire.
Yeah, good time to hire. Suddenly, though, the county of Santa Clara is big on hiring. Suddenly, business is hiring again, and that may mean more revenue and even better news for you down the road. And I want to get to that. But the Economic Summit that's coming up with public participation, your constituents, if you will, the 7th, the 10th, and the 13th, what that's all about. Oh, by the way, everybody, we're talking to Mike Wasserman, District 1. County of Santa Clara Supervisor. What is the Economic Summit about, Mike?
Sam, the Economic Summit is going to feature expert panelists discussing how county government can contribute to business growth and greater employment in the area of green economy, healthcare, and small businesses. The County of Santa Clara, as I said, is the largest employer, and most people don't look to counties to provide growth job stimulus. But the county is taking a lead position. They're bringing experts together in these three different areas, green, healthcare, and small businesses. They're bringing these experts together under one roof, inviting the public to participate. There'll be a lot of Q&A, questions and answers being asked. It's an opportunity to bring all these experts and the public under one roof so that the issues before us that concern us can be discussed. And what we're hoping to do with that information is to help generate more jobs, more excitement, more knowledge, more interest.
And that sounds like great input for you. You can listen to both sides and hear what the experts have to say, and then also get an idea of what people think is important.
Yes, and we have many, many panelists on each day. We also have tremendous moderators on each day, and I invite all of your listeners to attend, which should be a very stimulating and intellectually invigorating, I think would be a good term, but very educational. It's an opportunity for people to listen to experts in the field, and from that, hopefully, many new jobs and ideas will be created to help existing businesses and to create new ones.
Where do we go? How do we find out about it?
Sam, your listeners can go to www.supervisorwasserman.com, and all the information, location, time of each of the three summits will be listed there. There'll be the Green Economy on Tuesday, August 7th from 3 to 5, Healthcare on Friday, August 10th from 1 to 3, and the Small Business Summit will be on Monday, August 13th from 9 to 11.
Okay. As a former businessman, and maybe a current businessman too, I get that Mike Wasserman's passion is for business and for making things work in that way. What about the other side of a supervisor's job, the human side, the talking to people, the finding out what's important to them?
You know, Sam, that's a huge part of the job. As I referenced earlier, I get over 100 emails a day. My staff fields calls all day long. And my particular district is 700 square miles. To give you an idea, I come from Los Gatos. It's 14 square miles.
Right.
The 4 other supervisorial districts combined are 600 square miles. So within my 700 square miles, again, it's based on population, number of residents. We each represent the same number of people. Mm-hmm. But I do a lot of driving. And when I go down to South County, Morgan Hill, Gilroy, San Martin, the issues there are very much rural related, agricultural related. The Winery Working Group, I don't know if you've heard about that or not, Sam, but the Winery Working Group was something we established about a year ago, held 9 public meetings, and invited small businesses, winery owners, existing winery owners, large and small, and individuals interested in opening wineries, brought them all forward and said, okay, what don't you like about county government? Planning, building, fire, etc. And we had these meetings, and they started out pretty emotional at the beginning, but after the 9 public meetings that were held, we came up with a list of 14 different areas within our existing planning and building ordinances where we agreed could be improved. And as a result of that, we're moving forward, and I'm hoping by the end of this year that we'll have 14 tweaks, adjustments, whatever you want to say, to 14 existing laws that will make the laws for existing businesses and people who want to start businesses, especially in the agritourism industry, will make it more business friendly.
So agritourism, you're talking about, like, for example, wine, what do they call it, winery walks, that sort of thing?
Absolutely. And most of these wineries have an opportunity where people can drive through, organized or not, stop in, sample the different wines. Wines are a big part of South County, and South County, again, is one part of my district. So the people there have the issues that they're concerned about. In cities such as Morgan Hill or Montecito or the town of Los Gatos, they have different issues. They have their own police department, but they use county fire. They have county parks. They have their own library. So Montecito and Los Gatos approach my office with different issues than does Morgan Hill, San Martin, and Gilroy. And then in San Jose, the San Jose districts 10, 2, 8, they have different issues that are important to them. And they want to know about, for instance, where parks, where development, opportunities. And then the county is all about public safety and public health. 1/4 of our budget, almost $2 billion, is invested and spent in the area of health. And if I may, I'd like to tell you about the program that I'm co-chair of with Mayor Reed from San Jose. It's called Destination Home. And when I got on board, I learned about this program. My predecessor, Supervisor Gage, was co-chair with Mayor Reed, and I took on that same role. And what we learned is that there are communities in California, a handful, that recognized that the cost of a chronically homeless person is very expensive. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you or your listeners know, but the average cost for a chronically homeless person with the various services that they use between safety and health is somewhere in the $50,000 to $60,000 a year range. And what we learned is if you can provide a chronically homeless person housing, if a person has a roof over their head and they're not freezing or burning or being rained on, and you know where they live, if they're a veteran, for instance, the VA can then reach and contact that person and get them the benefits they're entitled to. But long story short, a chronically homeless person costs the county $50,000 to $60,000 in services. Yeah. If you provide them housing and a few services, it's going to run about $20,000 to the county. So what we're looking at is spending $20,000 instead of $60,000. Mm-hmm. And what I've said since day one is I'm not against spending. If you show me spending $1 will save $2.
Sure, and that's exactly what you described.
Yes, sir. I'm a fiscal conservative, okay? But I have no problem spending again if it saves money. So we have now started this program. The county came up with $1.2 million for 100 housing vouchers. So we're going to provide the chronically homeless and those that use the most services, Sam, the ones that are most expensive to the county, provide housing for them. And 1 year from now, we're going to evaluate the cost of providing services to those people to confirm what other communities have found, that if you provide housing, the cost of services drops about 50%. And what's nice about this, if everything pans out as I believe it will, as it has been in other cities, we'll be able to say that we've done the right thing and saved money. And Sam, there's not a lot of things in this world where you can do the right thing for someone, help out someone in need, and save taxpayer dollars.
So you save a life and save a lot of money at the same time.
There you go.
Well, we hope
this is huge.
You can come in a year.
Absolutely. I'll be happy to come back.
Tell us the good news.
Absolutely.
And come in before then, too.
So thank you.
All right. Well, what's the biggest surprise that you found when you became a county supervisor? The biggest surprise about the job?
The biggest surprise, again, was the enormity of the county. Some people have told me based on GDP, Santa Clara County would be one of the biggest countries in the world.
Yeah.
Again, when I found out we have more residents than 14 governors do, when you see a $4 billion budget and you really understand how big a billion is, it's not so big to the federal government, but when you come from the cities, as I did, and my fellow supervisors did, $4 billion's a lot of money. But the reason it's a lot of money is because we provide services to 1.9 million people, which is the 16th largest county in the United States.
So that's the biggest surprise?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you've got some other surprises in store because the Economic Summit is this week. And again, if we want to attend that summit, we go to your website?
Yes, sir. www.supervisorwasserman.com will get you all the information any of your listeners need.
And if we want to, we can become your Facebook friend.
Absolutely. Please do. Thank you.
We'll look you up.
Please do. Friend me on Facebook.
Well, thanks for friending us.
Thank you.
And that's our South Bay Sunday for Sunday, August the 5th. I'm Sam Van Zandt. Thanks for listening. Next week, the Italian Festa comes to town, Bonaventura, and we'll revisit Happy Hollow for a great big grown-up party. In the meantime, have a great week. And we'll see you next week here on South Bay Sunday.